Welcome,
Great.
everyone, to the first podcast of Being a Green Ninja. Today we're going to cover a pretty interesting topic in lifestyle choices that people are making to pay it forward, if you will. Have the pleasure of interviewing Lee Gold, who's a dentist in the New York City area, and has a practice in Soho, I believe, and chooses to use a bike to go to work every day, in a nutshell. And in coming up with the whole idea of being a green ninja, there's a group of people who have come together through Alt MBA, the Puma Group, and we started brainstorming on the notion of marketing and promoting a good cause in the reduction of carbon. And in the conversation, we got talking about scenarios where we all chose to offset carbon in our own ways. It's a personal choice we made. One of the opportunities I had early was following someone home who had a Tesla. I was driving a Honda Civic Hybrid, and I was pretty proud of that until I saw this incredible car pass me by. And I actually followed the car to its destination, and it was a lawyer in the renewable energy space. And I said to him, what is that? And he said, it's a Tesla. And I said, well, what's a Tesla? He said, well, how much time do you have to listen to my story? Long story short, he took me for a drive in the car, and it was an incredible experience that I'd went through. And it started a whole journey for me personally. But when we ended the ride in his driveway, and he pointed to his house and he said, you see the solar panels on the roof? My house is powered by solar, and I've actually disconnected my gas meter from my home. I use a wood pellet burning furnace, and I can say that I've disconnected my gas meter, and that's the commitment I've made to my children and the future generations. It's probably not very convenient. It's probably a difficult thing to do. I'm sure there were many appliances that were relying on gas in his home that he had to retrofit, but it's a choice that he made. So today I want to talk to Lee about a choice he's making for the future, and then something very interesting we want to share that we hope becomes somewhat of a movement out there in the real world that people can choose to do and actually make that commitment to do it. So Lee, I see some bikes behind you. Why don't you tell us about your journey on when you first discovered you had a choice to make and what it's like to be out there continuing to live that decision?
Well, it's great to be here with you today, Terry, for such a good cause. I initially came home from a vacation a couple summers ago, and they just had dropped a bunch of these bike racks around my neighborhood. They were here and there around Brooklyn, but when I got home that day, there was like one every few blocks from my house. And I just had made a decision that day. I was in a taxi. I made a decision that day that's how I was going to start commuting to work as much as I could. At first, it wasn't totally for the environmental effects, I have to say. It was more just for some exercise, just a quick, easy way to get it before work. But then I started realizing how much more beneficial it was for the environment and my carbon footprint in general. It's just been an added bonus into doing it. In New York, we have so many ways to keep our carbon footprint down transportation-wise, but this seems to be the best one. It's also the most convenient and fastest.
So how long is your commute into the office every day by using a bicycle?
From my daughter's school to my office using a bicycle is 25 minutes.
And generally there's a bike available to you? Like, you have the confidence that you'll be able to find that bike every time?
It's happened one time in about 2 years that I haven't been able to get a bike. So yeah, I'm pretty confident. And on the flip side of it, there's always a place to put it, because the way it works is you need a place to put the bike when you get back to when you get to your destination. And if it's not there, that adds time to either your trip or to your commute, which makes it less convenient. But there are enough of them that they have become such a convenience that I never even consider it. Whereas if I took the train, I would consider that every time I might be delayed to where I was going.
And what about driving? What would it take for you to drive into the office?
It would take a lot. I mean, I would sooner take a car share than to drive. If I need to bring something back and forth, if I have to go somewhere where it's not going to be convenient, I'll drive. But it's like 3 or 4 times a year I'll drive.
3 or 4 times a year. Okay, so you really could go without a car to work, period. Like you've already made that choice not to use the car, and because of the infrastructure in New York, it is making it more convenient than not convenient to make that choice for you.
Yeah, it's very convenient. And now this is City Bike has made it so convenient for us. It's kind of like if you build it, they will come. They put the bikes there, and now everyone uses them. They're just omnipresent in the neighborhood. The bike lanes have been expanding throughout New York, Brooklyn, all the 5 boroughs in the past 2 years, where it's easy. It's an easy thing to do.
You know, it's fascinating to me that you're a doctor, you're a dentist. Certainly, I don't think that the decision was a financial one. I think it was more of an ease of getting around, an efficient way of getting around. That led to some level of fitness and fresh air. But now I think that in the bigger picture, you're realizing that you don't leave a carbon footprint in your travel every day.
Yeah, no, that's been a great realization from all of this. We're just in general, the neighborhood here is pretty environmentally conscious, and just to be contributing on that kind of level has been great.
So, you know, we can make this look like it's absolutely perfect, but I'm sure there are things you like about it and there are things you don't like about it. So why don't you share what you don't like about using the bike and what is inconvenient for you when you're making the decision to travel this way?
I guess the bike's a little bigger and clunkier than you'd like in most bikes, but it's more it's practical for the amount of people who are using them and amount of different types of people and sizes of people who are using them. I guess, you know, if you're trying to bring a lot of stuff to work to and from where you're going, it's not as practical as having a car. I have a pretty big backpack on that I can get a lot in. I sometimes have I probably could have like 20 pounds in my backpack and still ride, but you know, if it's big and cumbersome, it's hard to do. That's certainly a limitation.
What about weather?
Weather, yeah, weather's a limitation. I'm probably not as aggressive as others. I'll go about 35 is like my cutoff, 35 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty cold when you get up on the bridges to go into Manhattan. But I see people riding in the snow. I mean, those people are real warriors, but real ninjas.
Real ninjas.
But yeah, I think I go pretty far. I think most people do. Once you get used to using the bike, it's really hard to go back. I kind of dread going on the train. I dread taking a taxi. It's so much more enjoyable, and I don't even think about it. I'd rather just take the bike if I could. It's so much better for my day.
Clearly. So what are you seeing now in the city that's just showing that this is becoming more widely accepted? Are you seeing bike lanes appearing, or are you seeing more of these bike racks appearing?
Yeah, over the past, so it was 2 years ago that they really started putting them in our neighborhood. But since then, I'm not sure the exact statistic, but they've dropped about 30,000 or 40,000 more bikes in all the 5 boroughs. So now you can go from Queens to anywhere in Queens. I mean, it's a long ride into Manhattan, but you could do it. My neighborhood alone, I mean, I could walk every 2 blocks from my house in any direction. I can get to a bike rack. that, and bike lanes are everywhere. There's even at the foot of the bridge, there's even a place where you can inflate your tires.
Really?
Most of the bridges, there's a pump.
Where are you finding these bike racks are ending up?
All over the place, residential neighborhoods, in the middle of the city. I'm on, it's called the Columbia Water District. It's right across from the city. You can see.
Lee, I lost you there. Okay, you're back.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
You can see this is just like a bike and running lane along the water in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, across from Manhattan. But they're everywhere. I don't say that there's any specific type of place. They really have put them everywhere.
So, are you starting to see these end up in parking spaces where there normally be parking spots?
Yeah, that was a big source of contention in our neighborhood initially. There's definitely a lack of parking spots compared to the amount of cars we have. So people are always searching for the best spot, and alternate side of the street parking makes things difficult. So once they dropped all these bike racks, this is a smaller one. This is probably about 2 car lengths. And it's not actually in a residential area, but the average one is about 3 to 4 cars would have been able to park there. So plenty of people were up in arms initially about the lack of parking that was going to be there as a result of the bike racks. But I haven't heard about it since. I mean, it was an initial reaction, and now no one says anything about it.
So potentially a strategy by government to eventually make it more and more difficult to actually use a car because there's not a spot to park it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people are giving up their cars. I hear conversations all over the place, all over my neighborhood. People who gave up cars and now just go to either a bike or a Zipcar or some sort of ride sharing option instead.
Just sort of interesting scenario we'd actually talked about a little earlier was a recent movie that you saw, the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Right. And what caught your attention about something that you read in the dojo?
Well, it said in the dojo, it said, strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
It's, that resonated with me when you said that, because, to make the decision to get rid of carbon, you almost need an aggressive commitment on a personal level to make that change and choice. But it's something you can also share with others in the workplace. For example, you wanted to not only make the decision as an individual, but you wanted to communicate that your business was also following that sort of philosophy.
Yeah. We had come up with a concept of having your business as a dojo, and that you're employing ninjas. So hopefully in that kind of setting, you could have something like a helmet rack that's visible to your employees, to be visible to your clients, that your employers are using.
So almost like a brand you can put on the door that says, "This is a Carbon Dojo, where we employ ninjas and we invite ninjas to visit us because we have the bike racks in place for helmets and these types of things."
Yeah, and we encourage it. Yeah,
a community.
Exactly. Yep.
Excellent. Well, I think what we're trying to start is the notion of an absolute commitment to being a carbon ninja. and we had talked about the commitment to getting rid of the car, right? Holistically removing your connection to a car. And what is more symbolic of that? And what is the most symbolic thing you could be doing to get rid of your car? What are your thoughts?
I think riding your bike, taking
Right.
your bike as much as you can. Maybe in going a step further, cutting your driver's license is something that we've taken to doing here. And that's part of our commitment. We've created a new challenge. Give me a second. Not quite sure how I'm going to film this, but hold on one second. So I hereby state that I'm going to become a carbon ninja. I'm going to cut my driver's license.
Beautiful.
And making a commitment to, riding a bike as much as I can, using car share services as much as I can, and making those electric as much as I can. And I'll nominate Terry to go next.
That is definitely something I'm going to have to get my driver's license to do it, but I too will make that commitment to cut my driver's license. Lee.
Great. Look forward to it.
So on my next interview, I plan to interview Donna as part of the group, and then when that happens, you will see my commitment to cutting my license.
Great.
Yes. So I think we're inviting everyone to join the movement of becoming carbon ninjas and eliminating the reliance on the car, getting rid of their commitment to the car. And I think if that does become something that goes viral, it could make immediate impacts to the future. The commitment we're making to our future, the sacrifices now for those that we don't even know.
For our family, our children.
Exactly.
And their children.
All right. Well, I think, is there anything else you'd like to add, Lee, before we call this podcast a wrap?
No, I think that's pretty much it, Terry.
Thank you, Lee.
All right. Thanks a lot.